And we want to welcome you to First Coast News at 5:30 on this election day. I'm Anthony Austin. Jeannie Blaylock and Heather Crawford will join us in just a moment. And at this hour, you still have time to cast your ballot as polls are still open across the First Coast. Across our area, polls will close at 7 o'clock tonight, just about 90 minutes from now. And we do want to let you know if you are in line when the polls close, you have the right to stay in line and vote. And an important update for our Glenn County voters, for our Georgia viewers. The North Glenn voting precinct located at Golden Isles Baptist Church has extended its voting hours. You will now have until 7:35 to vote if that is your precinct. That information coming to us tonight from the Glenn County Board of Elections and Registrations. The location opened at 7 this morning as scheduled, but there was a delay in voter check-in by about 35 minutes. Again, voting at Golden Isles Baptist Church is extended through 7:35. And hundreds of thousands of voters in Duvall County have cast their vote for the next president, Florida's U.S. Senate, and 6 constitutional amendments. And our Zach Wilcox spoke with the supervisor of elections and joins us live from a polling location on Beaver Street. And Zach, he says turnout, it's approaching record levels.
Yeah, Anthony, let's start with a little bit of trivia here. The last 20 years, the record, according to the Supervisor of Elections, is 77% turnout. That was back in 2008 during the Obama-McCain election. So right now, we are about 8% shy of that number. But we went in with a pretty solid threshold to begin today because more than half of all voters voted either through early voting or mail-in voting. In fact, the 289,000 early voters did set a record here in Duvall County this year. And he mentioned that all 160 polling locations were able to open on time today. They did have one delay here at the one that I'm at Beaver Street Enterprise Center, where they had a suspicious package, had to shut down for about 40 minutes, but otherwise they've been able to have them all running throughout the day today. And he did mention the #1 issue they've had in terms of calls into the Supervisor of Elections office is from folks who don't know where their precinct is.
We had a lawsuit here last year before coming into office where we had too many precincts in some locations and not enough, so we had to balance them all out where they were very close to the same. And the end result was from 186 precincts, we went down to 160.
So especially if you haven't voted yet, the supervisor is recommending that folks go ahead and go online, the supervisor's website, and check their voting precinct before they get in the car and head out, because there is a decent chance that it's changed since the last presidential election. And if we are going to get to that 77% record-setting number, going to need about 45,000 more voters in this last hour and a half. So maybe a bit out of reach at this point, but hopefully we'll get pretty close to it. Still should be pretty solid turnout. And taking a look at this parking lot here, boy, it is packed in a steady flow in and out of folks voting. In Newtown, Zach Wilcox, First Coast News, on your side.
Zach, today in Atlanta, 2 polling locations evacuated over what officials there now call non-credible bomb threats.
And earlier today, unfortunately, we did have 5 non-credible bomb threats that were reported, leading to a temporary evacuation of 2 locations for approximately 30 minutes each.
Voting has now resumed at those 2 locations, and in a separate address, Georgia Secretary of State said the threats were, quote, of Russian origin, unquote. Multiple polling locations in Metro Atlanta will be allowed to stay open late due to the technical problems and the unfounded bomb threats, including the 2 locations that were evacuated today.
Now to Clay County, where voters will decide if they will re-elect the incumbent Republican Sheriff Michelle Cook or replace her with former Clay County Sheriff Darrell Daniels. Our Christina Burgess is live in Clay County covering this sheriff's race for us. Christina?
Yeah, guys, in less than an hour now, Sheriff Michelle Cook's watch party will be starting here at the Fleming Island Event Center. Now, Darrell Daniels is running against Sheriff Cook. Daniels was the former Clay County Sheriff who was acquitted back in 2022 of charges relating to a public scandal over an affair. He has a 27-year career in law enforcement and is focusing on 2 initiatives, crime reduction and community engagement, according to his campaign site. I reached out to Daniels earlier today to speak with him, but have not heard back at this time. Sheriff Michelle Cook is a 34-year law enforcement veteran who served with both the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office and Atlantic Beach Police Department. She is seeking her 2nd term after being first elected in 2020.
There hasn't been anything that has happened in Clay County or within my agency that I haven't seen or dealt with before. So there's a real sense of comfort and of knowing that I know what I'm doing because of my 34 years of experience.
And Sheriff Cook tells me that she plans on being surrounded by family, friends, and volunteers tonight. As results come in, we will be sure to take you inside this watch party where you will hear more from Sheriff Cook and her supporters. In Clay County, Christina Burgess, First Coast News, on your side.
Thank you, Christina. There's plenty more at stake than just the race for the White House today. The balance of power in the U.S. Senate is up for grabs as well. Former governor of Florida and current Senator Rick Scott stopped by Mambo's Cuban Cafe on Beach Boulevard in Jacksonville this morning to share his reasons for running. Senator Scott says Duvall has played a critical role in each of his elections, and he urges people to cast their vote.
Every poll in the general elections I would lose. Every poll in the 14 elections that I'd lose. Every poll in the 18 elections that I was going to lose. And so don't rely on the polls. To go make your voices heard.
Before he became senator in 2019, Scott was the 45th governor from 2011 to 2019 in Florida.
Now, also vying for his Senate seat is Democratic candidate Debbie Mucarsel-Powell. This is a look at footage from her Jacksonville rally last week. She's running 2 years after Democrats lost all 5 statewide seats on the ballot. She was elected to represent a Miami district in 2018 and was the first Ecuadorian American and South American born congressional member.
Right now in Georgia, Camden County voters must choose between their incumbent sheriff and a new face. Republican candidate Kevin Chaney is up against independent incumbent Sheriff Jim Proctor. On your side's Renata DiGregorio is live from a polling location near Camden County High School. So let's check in now with Renata. Hey, Renata.
Hey Jeannie, this polling location is a bit busier than some other ones that we have been around to today, and there is a candidate for the sheriff here as well. So in this race, there is the current sheriff Jim Proctor, who is running for his 4th term as sheriff. He's running as an independent because he tells us he does not believe the sheriff's race should be partisan. Kevin Chaney is running as a Republican and says the race between the two men has been respectful. Let's hear now from 2 voters that we spoke with this afternoon. First, Jessica Knight says she'll vote for Proctor, but Shelby Garland supports Chaney.
Everything that he entails, I want that. So he's got value, he's got my trust, he's got my vote.
Everybody loves him. He's such a compassionate person, so humble. And I think we need that around here, and just guidance and leadership.
As far as lines go, we have not seen any, at least here. Most people that we've talked to say that they came and voted, and what brought them here was the presidential race to be expected. Reporting live in Camden County, Renata DiGregorio, First Coast News, on your side.
Renata, thank you. In Florida, you will see 6 amendments on the ballot. Those include partisan school board elections, an amendment that would preserve the right to hunt and fish, one that would legalize recreational marijuana, abortion rights before fetal viability or when necessary to protect the patient's health. And then Amendment 5 has to do with homestead tax exemptions, and Amendment 6 deals with campaign financing. And right now, you can stream our entire amendment guide with more details on what each of these would do if passed. Now remember, in order for it to pass, at least 60% of the vote is needed. You can watch on demand on First Coast News Plus. You can watch our election special coverage tonight starting at 7 o'clock, all on First Coast News Plus.